Hi there, and welcome to Motivational Moments Live with me, Belinda Boadu, your host. Hi there, and welcome to Motivational Moments Live with me, Belinda Boadu, your host. As usual, I am super excited to come to you with another edition of Motivational Moments. And before I start, I know it's been a minute, but thank you for bearing with me. There's been a few relocating, all sorts of exciting things, but hey, I'm back. For those of you who are joining me for the very first time, thank you for being here. And for those of you who are with me each and every time we do a Motivational Moments Live, I'm glad to see you here once again. Make sure you follow, you subscribe, and you tell a friend to tell a friend. And if you're joining me for the very first time, I'd love to tell you what Motivational Moments Live is all about and what Impact and Impact is all about. So Impact and Impact is a education, career, and business consultancy, and within that you have Motivational Moments Live, which is all about motivating, inspiring you to do your very, very best. And as always, I have some super exciting topics to share with you today. These have all come by request. So one of the topics that I'm dealing with today is how to deal with constant rejection, and the second one I'm dealing with is how to celebrate others in the midst of your own storm. Okay, so those are the two main ones. We may have a few offshoots from that, but we'll be mainly dealing with those. So first of all, how to deal with constant rejection. Those of you who have listened to particularly my season 1, you know all about a period of time where I was faced with a lot, and when I say a lot, I mean a lot of career rejection career rejection in particular. That's what I'm trying to say. And rejection can come in all sorts of formats. You can deal with rejections in all areas of your life, you know, be it career, be it within business, be it personal life, be it with your love life, you know. It can get really hard, especially when you feel like it just keeps happening over and over again. And, you know, I think people are sort of set up to deal with success and celebrate success and know how to deal with when you're doing really well and when you're succeeding in life, but they struggle a little bit more on how to cope when you're dealing with failure, you know, when you're dealing with rejection, when your life isn't quite going according to plan, when you're not quite able to do all the things that you were hoping and aspiring to do in life. So today we want to talk a little bit about that and how to cope with that in particular. Yes. So, how do we deal with constant rejection? Let me kind of go down maybe the career route to help be a bit more specific, and then I'll broaden out from there. So imagine, you know, you're applying for various jobs, and every time you apply, you have the right skill set, you have the right experience, but every time you apply, you're met with a no, or you don't even get a response, or you don't even get invited to interview, or in some circumstances, you go to the interview, you go to stage 1, stage 2, even stage 3, and at the last hurdle, you're met with utter disappointment when they say, sorry, but we've picked another candidate over you. It's hard. It is really hard. How do we continue to cope with that? Well, first of all, we have to understand that you have to build that confidence within yourself and understand that not everything is for you. Okay, so I think that's two of the most important things. If you know who you are, what you can bring to the table, and how valuable you are in yourself, when you are faced with rejection, it wouldn't bother you so much. I'm not saying that you're not human. Of course, there will come a point where it's difficult to deal with. Of course, there will come a point where, you know, you're facing disappointment, but it's to understand that you are still valuable despite the rejections you faced, despite the amount of no's you've received. You still hold your value. You still have the experience, you still have the skill set, and just because this place says no, just because 10 places have said no, doesn't mean that there isn't a place for you. And as I said, this applies in all areas of your life. And when we understand that not every place is for us, or not everything is for you, it's easier to cope with it. So you see a job advertised, it's a good role, it's within a good reputable company, it's paying good money, you send forth your application, great, they even invite you for interview. You go to the first stage, you've done really well, you go to the second stage, you've done really well, and then they say, we're really sorry, we've picked someone else over you. Don't let that be so disheartening, because understand that when they say they've picked someone else over you, and that you can ask for a reason. I even recommend that you ask for a reason why, you were not selected. They might say that the other person was a better cultural fit, or the other person had more experience or more specific experience to bring to the table. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It just means that that place is not for you at that point in time. It's not to say that it can't be for you in a future point in time. It's not to say that you can't sort of reapply or try again, but not every place is for you at that point in time. So as much as they think you're not the right cultural fit for them, they might not be the right cultural fit for you. Sometimes some of us go through all sorts of lengths to get a yes, where under normal circumstances you would have gotten a no, and the sacrifice that you have to make as a result of squeezing yourself into a squared peg, is going to cost you more than walking away and trying somewhere else. Dealing with rejection is not easy. I'm not going to deny that. I've come across so many points in my life where I had to deal with my own, version of rejection. It happened within my career. It happened within my personal life. It even happened in family life, when you kind of think that you're the only person who no one subscribes to, or no one kind of flies a banner for you. Rejection goes deep, and it cuts across so many different areas, but it's important to understand that you need to know your worth. It's even, if we're talking Bible, even Jesus was rejected in his own hometown, amongst his own people. When we're talking about, people who have made it big, how many big names? We're talking like the creator of Apple, rejected in his own field. Now we all use these amazing Apple products, and that's his legacy that he gets to leave behind. So just because you're rejected today doesn't mean that rejection has to spell out your tomorrow. Just because you've had a no today doesn't mean you have to receive a no tomorrow. We have to know our worth and understand that we are valuable and we are able to bring much to the table. And when someone says it's a no for you today, understand that that's an opportunity for you to go back to the drawing board, work on the things that they said were the reasons that it was a no for you, and then come back bigger, better, stronger, more amazing than you came the last time. My rejections, and as I said, if you've not heard the story in like our season 1, I can give you a very brief snapshot. There was a point in my career where I went for, I kid you not, no less than 60 interviews. Kept applying for roles, kept applying. I knew I was qualified. I knew I could do this, but I just kept coming up across so many no's. And it's at that point that it hit me that this is not where God wants me to be. God no longer wants me to be working for other people. He wants me to start building something of my own. And sometimes that's where rejection pushes you. It pushes you between a rock and a hard place, because we're knocking against the wrong doors. You have this is another really common thing, right? You've done this 4-5 year degree in something really huge, engineering, and you're so excited to start your career in engineering. Now that you've graduated, no one will take you. And you have this little side hustle that you started at the beginning of university or whatever, where you're maybe, sewing, fixing hair, cooking food. So you've picked up on that in the meantime to keep you going, because it brings in a bit of money, but yet you're completely determined to follow this career in engineering, but you keep facing rejections. Sometimes, I'm not saying all the time, but sometimes it's a clear sign that that's not the direction you ought to go at this point in time. Sometimes it means that that little tiny sewing you're doing, that little tiny braiding you're doing, the cooking you're doing on the side is actually where your blessing really lies. And that's not a bad thing. Sometimes people feel so ashamed to actually embrace the thing that they are truly talented in. At the end of the day, anyone can do an engineering degree. Anyone can study, and studying is good, but it can be done by anyone. But to be greatly skilled in something is your unique talent, and to be able to go that step further and make money from that thing, or to be able to succeed in that thing, is an even bigger step. And sometimes we're so busy focused on that one thing, that one prize, that we don't see the heap of treasure on this side. So bear in mind that not every rejection is designed to break you. Most of the time, I tell the truth, when you are rejected, it's designed to make you. It's designed to build you. Let that sink in for a moment. Not every rejection is designed to break you. Some rejections are designed to make you. Okay? Designed to build you up. So in the situation I've just described, it's a matter of someone looking in the wrong direction. It's a matter of someone not understanding that that's not what they're meant to be doing. It's a matter of someone understanding that they need to work on themselves a little bit more. It's a matter of understanding that this thing is not for you right now, right? You can go knocking on certain doors. That's another interesting thing, right? You go knocking on certain doors at some point in your life, and at that point in your life, you receive huge rejection. They can tell you you're not good enough. We don't subscribe to your brand, whatever. And then 5 years down the line, they're the one chasing after you. You're now the big ish, and everyone wants the piece of your cake. Everyone wants a slice from you. So not everything is designed to make you fall apart. Sometimes these rejections are designed to build you up. So how do what do you practically begin to do to help cope with these rejection moments? First of all, you have to understand that it's not always a bad thing to cry or to be sad for a temporary point in time. When you are hit with something like rejection, it's painful, especially when you really had your heart set on it, when you were really determined that this is what I want to do. I have the skills, I've written the exams, I've passed, I've done this, I've done that, and yet you're still not able to succeed on it. Have a good cry, it's fine. But you have to learn to get over it. Okay, you have to learn that the crying should put you into a space where you said, I don't want to feel like this anymore. I don't want to allow anyone the permission to make me feel like this anymore. So you get up and you say, let me scrub up the dirt off my shoulders and let me start again at a higher, greater level. You have to. If you allow the crying to make you sink further into a sad space where you just tell yourself, I'm not good enough, nobody wants me, nobody likes me, I'm never going to succeed, I'm never going to get a job, and you stay in that space, then that's a failure. Then that's a real problem. But if you cry and you say, I don't want to feel like this anymore, I don't want to be in this place anymore, so you start thinking, what can I do to move myself from where I am right now? And for the person who was cooking, who was braiding hair, who was sewing, they're like, you know what? I'm doing good in this thing right now. It might not be exactly what I really want to do, but let me put my focus in it for the time being. Let me do better. Let me expand. Let me brand myself better. After all, if I build that thing up, it's mine. It's not going to go anywhere. So let me put as much effort into this as I possibly can. And then do that and see where that takes you. After all, you have full control in that area. After all, it's, as I said, it's yours. If you go working for someone, at any point in time, that company can fold up. At any point in time, that company can decide that you're not the right fit, that they have found someone else that can do the job quicker, better, smarter, whatever. But when you build something for yourself, that lasts forever, even if you continue pursuing your career. So I hope that makes lots and lots of sense to you all. If you have any questions, by all means, this is your time. Put them up there and I'll be more than happy to try my best to address those for you. Now, I want to also turn it a little bit on a personal angle where people are facing constant rejection when it comes to love, where you feel like you keep dating people, you keep seeing people, you keep putting your all into it, but yet, your friends are getting married, your friends are now having babies, your friends are this and this and that, and yet you still find yourself in the same so-called lonely place. And for that, my answer is really quite simple. There's a timing and a season for everything. And you can't use the measuring stick of your friends to measure where you are at in life, okay? I can tell you now that those of you, and I know there's plenty, I have people coming to me all the time to ask me about this, that if you are in a huge rush to get married and you are in a huge rush to start a family, it's an amazing thing. Do not get me wrong. I don't want you to think that because I'm married and I have my babies, but it is a lot of work. Okay, it is a lot of work and it takes a lot of grace, and sometimes that grace needs to build up. It's like a fuel tank, and it needs to build up that fuel tank before you can get to that space of in time where both parties, whether you be the man, whether you be the woman, can handle that situation. So if you're in a particular relationship and you feel like it's not going where the direction you want it to go, but you are with a good person and that person's good to you, you're good to that person, one, you can have a very frank conversation, and I recommend that highly, to just get an understanding of where you're both at. Because very often, and correct me if I'm wrong, the women think they're somewhere and the men think they're somewhere else. And the women are all serious, wanting it to go to the next phase, and the men want to take that sweet time, they're nowhere near ready. So you then feel rejected. Or in so many instances, you're in a relationship, you break up today, tomorrow the man is having a wedding, and you're like, what on earth is going on? And that level of rejection, boy oh boy, is that a tough one to deal with. I promised you I'm dealing with all forms of rejection today, so I hope you don't mind we're taking it into that zone. It's tough. It is absolutely tough, but excuse me, sooner rather than later, you realize that, boy, did you dodge a bullet. Most of the time, 99% out of 100, I can guarantee you that when that happens, where you break up with someone today and tomorrow that person's getting married or that person's with someone else, you have dodged a bullet. That relationship, that long-term situation, that permanent situation was not meant for you. And if you could only have an insight into what is now going on in that person's marriage, you will count your blessings that that's not you. So when it comes to things like marriage, when it comes to things like starting a family, if I were you, I would not play with that, okay? If you're rejected by a guy, if you're rejected by a lady, and it's not under things like having a big argument, having a big blowout, and the person just says, I don't want to be with you anymore, walk away and trust that God knows what he's doing. Because 9 out of 10 times, the person's right. Yes, they're not meant for you and you're not meant for them. And it's heartbreaking. When it comes to matters of love, you will cry for days, weeks, you will lose weight, you will wonder where you went wrong, you will wonder why is this happening to you. And in the meantime, you're watching all your friends on the sideline doing the whole marriage thing and, looking like everything is really hunky-dory and successful. And you're thinking, why am I always the one that's being rejected? Many of you know that I was nearly 30 when I got married. And in the eyes of society, in the eyes of culture, that's pretty old. Like, it's like, girl, what's happening? The amount of times that I had to listen to what's happening. What's happening? What's happening? But what I strongly believed in is that I am following God's plan for my life. I'm not interested in rushing into anything that's then going to categorically ruin the rest of my life. So when you're faced with rejection in love, do the little crying and then decide that you don't want to be in that space anymore, and that you want bigger and better for your life, that you want much better things for your life. And sometimes you'll find that after that person dumped you and moved on with their life, it doesn't take too long for you to meet the person of your dreams, and everything about them is so different. And then the 3 years you invested in one person, 6 months down the line, this person's proposing to you. You know each other, you're happy with each other, and there you go. And it's not to say that it's going to be easy. It's not to say that you're not going to face any issues. But when it comes to love and you get rejected, take the rejection as it was never meant to be in the first place. It's not to say that the time you spent with that person was wasted. As I said, rejection is often designed to build you. It's often designed to make you. So there are lessons that you would have learned during that period of time. There are things that were ironed out of you. Maybe you were impatient before, and being with that person taught you a lot of patience. Maybe you had a temperament issue before, and being with that person taught you that you need to, you need to have a better temperament and not flare up so easily, not get angry so easily. And you learn in those situations and circumstances to build yourself and make yourself a better person. So then the idea is that when you enter a new relationship, when you go into a new space, you don't bring all of that terrible past stuff with you, because you're essentially a better version of yourself. So we need to trust in the process, understand that, the rejection is not always designed to break you. Now, there is a deeper level of rejection that is unfortunately a little bit harder to give you this easy fix to, and that's when you face what is called like family rejection, where you feel like the black sheep of your family. It's harder to deal with that, honestly, because you would have grown up within this environment. You would have been born into an environment where you might feel that maybe amongst your siblings, amongst everyone, you're the person who's constantly rejected. There are two things you can do about that. You need to truly assess, is that really the case, or is that what's going on in your mind? Because often people think, well, mommy loves my sister more than she loves me. Daddy loves my brother more than he loves me. And that's not always the case. You have to understand that everyone within a family has different personality, is a bit different, and requires different attention. I have 2 kids now, and they are different, they are different from each other. So as much as you try to show a very balanced display of your love, of your affection, by all means, they are different. So there are some areas where I need to pay my daughter more attention than I need to pay my son. You've got the age difference. My son's a baby, my daughter's a toddler. She needs to understand that there are going to be some points where her brother needs a lot more attention than she will do. So you have to make that assessment. Is that really the case, or is that all going on in your head? And when you find perhaps, because in some circumstances it is really the case, then I would highly recommend that you seek professional help to help you cope with that. Okay, so you might want to seek counseling. You might want to speak to a therapist that's going to help you through that process, because if you don't deal with it, often you take it into your relationships, you take it into everything that you are doing, and it's going to affect you the long term. So yeah, I think we have done rejection, hopefully, enough justice, and we can move on to a topic that's kind of related to some of the points that I made, which is celebrating others in the midst of your own storm. So this is a tough one. It really is, because everyone has their own storm, right? So I'm going to use similar examples to the examples that I've used for the rejection. So for example, if you've been going job after job and you keep facing rejection, and the people that you're friends with, the people that you went to uni with, the people that you've mixed with are doing really well. The first job they went for, they succeeded, they're earning big bucks. They've now kind of gone from being starting from the bottom, and they're now sort of in managerial positions, and you don't understand why you're not able to attain the same thing. How can you celebrate them when it seems like in your life nothing is happening? How can you celebrate them when they're doing so well and seemingly you're doing so poorly? Let me tell you now that in celebrating others, you are calling forth your own success, okay? So it's not easy, because you are going to deal with the practical element of how you are feeling. You can't deny your feelings. You can pretend to the world that you're fine. You can put on a smile, but behind the smile, what is going on? You're hurt. You're heartbroken. You feel let down. Those feelings can't be denied. So you might still feel that way. But in the midst of all of that, don't put those feelings to the people who haven't done anything wrong, to the friends who have succeeded, to the friends who are doing well. Celebrate them. Be proud of them in the same way that you would hope they would be proud of you had you been the one who were in their shoes. Because in celebrating them, you call forth your own blessing. You call forth your own successes. In a situation, and I mean, to be fair, I have quite similar situations that go on where, for example, this is a really tough one, right? When you are, especially for women, I think it applies to men too, but I'm not one, so I'm going to speak from the perspective of women. When you are a woman and you are watching all your friends get married, and you are the bridesmaid all the time and never the bride, or even you could be married and you're watching all your friends come up behind you and they're having kids, and everyone's looking at your marriage. You're now 8 years in, you're now 10 years in, you're now whatever years in, and you have no kids to show for it, and you keep being asked maybe what's going on, what's the matter, what's wrong with you. It's heartbreaking. And before I even go further, people need to learn to stop doing that, okay? First of all, it's none of your business. So stop doing that. You don't know what people are going through. You don't know if it's people's personal choices not to have children. You don't know if they're facing serious medical conditions. So it's none of your business. When the baby comes, let's celebrate. Yeah? When the baby doesn't come, let's be with them. Let's enjoy that friendship. But stop pestering people about why they're not having kids or why they're not having any more kids, because you are not in their shoes. But to the people who are going through this and they feel like they're rejected, they feel like, why me? I would just say to you, just keep holding on, just keep praying and keep trusting God. Not everyone is meant to walk the same path. What I might acquire in the space of a month, it might take someone else a year, 2 years, 10 years to get there, but you will get there. And when you get there, it's nothing more but a testament to the greatness of God. Sometimes some of us have to learn some lessons along the way, like I said. Sometimes some of us need to know that it is only the doing of God. You've gone to hospital after hospital, you've sought professional help after professional help, and none of this is changing. You've thrown so much money at the situation and none of it is changing. And just at that last 99.9 hour where you're looking to give up, that's when God is going to pull through and show you that, you know what, I was with you all this time. So just keep on trusting God, keep on having faith. But for those of us who are watching, stop asking people questions that are none of your business. Stop putting pressure on people. Stop making people feel stressed and sad by asking questions that are none of your business, because it hurts. You don't know what people are going through when they lie in their bed at night, and until their pillows are soaking wet, they can't fall asleep. You don't know what they're going through. You're making little passing sly comments that to you is not a big deal, but to others it's absolutely breaking their heart. So I would say to us, let's continue to be encouraging. If they've not shared with you, don't ask. or if you don't have a diplomatic way, not even a diplomatic way, if it's not none of your business, just don't go there, because they might not want kids. Not everyone wants to get married. Not everyone wants to have the life that you're living. People are succeeding and doing great things in other areas of their lives. Whilst you are there looking after your 1 or 2 children, someone else is raising a whole orphanage. You understand? So don't ask any questions that are none of your business to be asking. And I'm feeling the emotions right now, because I know people who are going through this. I know people who are having a really, really, really tough time. And then the insensitivity of those around them is just breaking their hearts. You understand? So let's do better. Let's be more supportive as friends. And those of us that are going through these difficult times, continue celebrating. I have some friends that unfortunately I never got to see them at any of my baby's first birthdays, any of my outdoorings or dedications, because it's too painful for them, in comparison, when you're playing that terrible comparison game, when you look at maybe how long they have been married and they've not had children, and maybe how long I've been married, and all of a sudden here Belinda is having her second baby, all of those things, you can't deny it's painful. It really, really is. And I could take 2 routes. I could decide that, well, I'm no longer your friend. I'm not talking to you anymore, because when I was celebrating and when I had good things happen to me, you weren't there for me. Or I can put myself in their shoes and I can understand that it's incredibly painful, and continue to be supportive and continue to pray for them. Being supportive doesn't have to be being in their face about it. You can pray in your own private, quiet time for your girlfriends, for your male friends who are looking to God for something and they haven't received it yet. You don't even have to let them know, but remember them in your prayers. It goes a really, really long way. But the more we celebrate, the more, like, if I'm in that situation and I'm celebrating you, the more I'm calling forth for my blessing to come. So it's going to be tough. Sometimes we're going to feel those feelings that feel like jealousy, those feelings that feel like anger, because I've been waiting for such a long time and I've been barking up that tree for such a long time and nothing's changing, nothing's happening. Yet here comes Ajwa, here comes Simi, here comes this person, and they just do it once and they've succeeded in it. Why is it not happening for me? Well, that's because we're all walking our path. That's because we're all writing our stories. We're not privy to the journey that other people are walking to. We're not privy to what's making the other person tick. So mind your lane and let me mind mine. Let me pray for you when you are in need, and I hope that you are praying for me. Let me celebrate your success, and I hope that you celebrate my success. And let me be able to cope with the feeling of rejection, the rejection that I might be facing on a daily basis, knowing that it's not designed to break me, it's designed to build me. Yeah? I hope it all makes sense. So that's it really in a nutshell, guys and ladies. Everyone's going through a tough time, you just don't know what people are going through. And some people are quiet. Some people can still be super effervescent and loud, but on the inside, they are hurting. Don't assume that everything you see on the surface is what is going on behind the scene. So be supportive towards one another. There is no harm in checking on people from time to time and seeing how they're doing. Like, not just how are you? Hey, how are you? But really, really, how are you? I want to ask you all this today. How are you really? Tell me. Let me know the things that you're celebrating. Let me know the things that you are crying about. And let me pray for you. Let me share a word of encouragement with you. If you know someone that needs to hear this today, send them the link. You never know what one of the things I've said is going to help help them overcome. And that's not costing you anything whatsoever. That's not doing you any harm. That's not blowing your pockets. That's not affecting you in any way. So why not? Why not give it a chance? Why not, why not try that route? So without further ado, I can see that you guys are leaving me comments, but for some reason, if I'm looking down, I'm trying to get your comments up, but I don't know how to change the setting that allows me to see your comments. And it's driving me bonkers. But I'm hoping that it's all made sense to you all. I'm hoping that it's made a positive contribution to you all, and that you feel some way somewhat enlightened. And I really do hope you're able to share this message with someone out there. Oh, 1 second. I think I can see your comments now. Okay, all right. I've read them now. Sorry about that. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing out any questions. I see that lots of you are agreeing, lots of you are feeling inspired by the message. Thank you for watching. Do please share with others. But we'll leave it there. I'm keeping my fingers super crossed that my schedule will be able to return to some form of normalcy. Forgive me, those of you who relentlessly wait for the next episode to come. As you can see, or perhaps there's been a bit of a change in location, and that required tons of preparing, and I couldn't squeeze in the time to come and speak to you all. But fingers crossed, I can go back to a bit of a normal schedule. I'm going to love you and leave you all. Don't forget to be kind to one another. Don't forget to celebrate each other. Don't forget to check up on each other. For example, you never know what I'm going through. I'm smiling, I'm motivating you today, but you just don't really know what I might be passing through. So behind the smile, there's a lot going on. Be sure to check on people, and don't always project your own feelings on others. Don't assume, that people are doing certain things to be malicious. Some people are going through real psychological effects of rejection, psychological effects of seeing other people do well, or seeing other people attain things that they have been praying for years. So let's be kind to one another, okay? Guys, stay safe out there. Oh my goodness, in Ghana, everyone thinks coronavirus is gone. It's not. Wash your hands, sanitize. Don't be shaking hands, hugging, all that's business. Keep a distance from each other, and we will all live long and prosper. But if you miss out those steps, I can't speak for you. It's only God's grace. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the week, guys, and we'll catch up soon.